All right, hello everyone, and welcome to a very special Milan Reports post-match review. My name's Riccardo. I'm joined by my friends Sabrina and Matt. I can't contain my excitement here, guys. How are you feeling after this 2-0 win against Atalanta at home?
So good. Oh my God. Seeing all the stats beforehand that we hadn't won at home against Atalanta since 2014, and knowing the recent struggles we've had with them, it was really nerve wracking going into it. The first half got me a little bit nervous, and to come out with that 2-0 win in the way we did it, the way we scored the goals, whew, I'm on a high. Nothing could take me down today.
Matt, how are we feeling?
This team feels like it's such a special group, right? And I think you look at the coach, right? I think it really all starts with Pioli, because he took a heavy defeat to Atalanta when the first, for a couple games he had 5-0, and everyone was looking at this and thinking like, this could be a tricky game today. And it was for certain moments, right? I think you looked at the team sheet. It didn't look like your typical Atalanta side that we've seen in a couple years where you have Muriel, Zapata, Papu Gomez, and the team was a little bit thin. Obviously, you saw Zapata ushered in, you saw Malinovsky ushered in, and they're supremely good players who can make the difference. But I do want to credit Pioli because I think after the first half, as Sabrina mentioned, it looked a little dicey. It looked a little nervy because we didn't play our best football. We really weren't creating much of anything. And there were calls for, let's take off Krunic, let's take off this player, Labri, and put Florenzi. You keep Krunic in a little bit longer, and he makes three key tackles. The one which launches, obviously, the goal of the season, in my opinion, for Theo Hernandez. And then he brings on Junior Messias, who basically, with his first touch, gets an assist to Rafael Leao to really calm the nerves and allow Milan to get into a position where they're saying, hey, we got the lead. Let's go for a second. Let's not play a more pragmatist type of game here. So Pioli, I mean, you can see it, and I think it's coming full circle here. It's almost as if this guy, this story behind him joining this club with the Pioli out and people giving him so much crap, not getting the guys he probably needed in January to make this long push, all the injuries, and we're this close. We're on the doorstep of Scudetto number 19. It's truly special, and I really can't say much more about it. I'm sure we'll get into a lot more here.
It is truly special. We are so close to the Scudetto, and today's match, especially the second half, our guys just went ahead and stepped it up and showed their true colors. I'm sure we'll go ahead and discuss that wonderful Theo Hernandez goal, the run all the way from our box and putting the goal away. I mean, that was just spectacular. And then, of course, just as you mentioned, the substitutions that Pioli went ahead and did. Let's go. Guys, how excited are we in the comments? I know that we are so close to winning the
comments,
Scudetto.
red and black hearts. Spam the comments, red and black hearts. Come on, guys. There he is with my brother. What's going on, Nick?
Well, we do have a lot to go ahead and talk about. Not only will we be discussing the goals, how we look like going forward here in the Serie A standings. Coming up, we have the Inter versus Cagliari match, which will determine what we have to do either next weekend, if we have to do anything at all, or if the celebrations start early. But again, and of course, the player ratings. We'll go ahead and dissect each player's individual performances. Players like Messias, Krunic, Matt, that you went ahead and talked about here. But wow, what a glory day. Yes, it is. It's very exciting. I know that we came in here into this match with a little bit of anticipation, anxiety. We don't want to go in there anything jinxing it. You mentioned our history against Atalanta, not having beaten them since 2014 at home. Even last week when we had that Verona scare, we went ahead and turned that into a Milan victory. So guys, wow. Let's go ahead and just talk about here Pioli. I want to go ahead and discuss the players that he went ahead and put out there and the substitutions that he made. I'll go ahead and start with you, Matt. Your first overall thoughts on Pioli's coaching decisions today?
He got it right. Basically running out the same squad that we had in the previous game against Verona. Defensively, Theo Hernandez, Kalulu, Tomori, that defensive pairing has been absolutely nails for us. And like I know Calabria had his moments where he looked absolutely poor in the first half, probably the worst player on the field for Milan. In the second half, I thought he was better. I know the calls came in for Florenzi, but everyone has their moment. Everyone has their opportunity to prove what they can prove. And, the fact that Pioli doesn't really, succumb to the reaction and the initial emotions that a lot of fans have. Pull this guy off, make this guy. Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? I think the lineup that he put out today, combined with the fact that he was able to push the right buttons once again with the substitutions, why am I going to doubt Pioli? If that's the team that he thinks on a given match day is going to get the result, I'm backing this guy. I read somewhere the past day or two, I think it was like a post from Sky Sports, that I think Pioli has the second best win percentage amongst AC Milan coaches in club history. You guys can fact check me on that, whoever in the comments, but I read something that his win percentage is absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, no yellows for Kalulu, Tomori, and Rafa. I mean, the maturity of Kalulu in a game of this magnitude. We know Tomori's played big games for Chelsea. We know he's played in the Champions League. So he's had his fix, obviously, to play high-tempo, high-octane games. But Kalulu, my goodness, I know we talk about how much he cost Milan, but I'm going to say it again, 500,000 euros for a guy that didn't play a single lick of first-team action for Lyon when he did bring him in. And everyone was like, who is this guy? And they were joking, oh, another cheap defender or cheap guy that Milan gets. Why aren't we getting this player who's worth 30 or 40 or 50 million? And again, it's the microcosm of this Stefano Pioli run team and of this project is a workmanlike effort and everyone pitching in and doing what they have to do. The midfield, Tonali didn't go the full 90 here. You can tell he was gassed. He's been really carrying a heavy workload the past few weeks now. But it's a luxury, right? You have Benacer you could bring in that brings a different look, brings fresh legs. And, in the attack, it didn't work out as according to plan. Alexis didn't have the same game that he had last week. But Krunic, this is the type of player that I think Pioli absolutely loves to have. The guy that just will do anything and everything to help you win. It won't look sexy all the time. It will, be glamorous. But the big key tackles, tracking back to defend, just maintaining possession and the goals, right? Milan have this entire season have been a team where the goals have often come from those individual moments where they maybe don't look like they're going to arrive. Macias comes in, flips the ball over the top, and then really Leao does what he's done all season and really this past 4, 5, 6 games is not waste his chance, not spoil that opportunity. And then Theo Hernandez with the goal of the season. So looking at another two goals on the scorecard for Milan, but also another clean sheet, right?
Yep.
And Magnon. There's so many guys I can point to in this performance. But Sabrina, I want to let you obviously talk because I've been talking too much already.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. A lot of people in the comments are showing their appreciation for our defense, for Rafa, for Krunic. Great that nobody got a yellow card because at the end of the day, we cannot count on Inter to do it or to drop points. You were hoping for it, but it might come to that last match day. And if we were to go into next week not having either Kalulu or Tomori or being without both of them would have been absolutely a huge blow. So to see the guys play a good, clean game, I know it got a little bit dicey in the first half, a lot of frustration. You could tell there was a lot of nerves. I don't know if it was just the occasion or the occasion mixed with the fact that the San Siro looked electric. It just from seeing videos of people who were there, the choreography that they did was sublime. It was just amazing. And then I thought, oh guys, don't do this. Don't let us down. You have all that support there. You saw Giroud lose his cool when he didn't get that penalty. I know there was a lot of debate back and forth, but regardless, it was out of the box. They did review it. It was out of the box. Nothing they can do there. But I just thought, oh God, if we can't keep our cool, this is going to get ugly real fast. And to see them regroup at halftime, come out strong is just another way of showing the fans and the rest of the world that, yes, this is a team worthy of winning the Scudetto. There's been a lot of criticism of this team from fans of other teams, fans of our team, the media, just criticizing us for lack of tactics, for, we have such a young squad, or We drop points when we need to earn them and stuff like that. So for this group to just take that, shove it aside, and take control of the season when they need to, it's a great feeling. And I was really, really proud of them today, because this win is huge, huge.
Well said. We discussed a lot leading up to these matches in the past about that mentality. We wanted to see what our players can go ahead and achieve if they're really Scudetto worthy. And I know I said earlier this season that if they get their grip together at the end of the season and we still win the Scudetto, that I won't be super mad. And it looks like, especially coming in after that win at Verona and today, some players like Tonali, their mentality running all over the pitch. Players like Tomori Kalulu diving in front of the ball, even Theo Hernandez when Zapata has the ball in the box. I mean, these guys are throwing their bodies in front to go ahead and keep the clean sheet, even when we're up 2 goals. It's just absolutely fantastic. Players like Krunic coming in and doing the heavy stuff, all the dirty work that someone needs to go out there and just constantly run. And Matt, you said it, he is Pioli's one of favorite players. He's got to be one of mine as well. Just a guy you can rely to go out there and just continuously run and cause havoc to the opposition. And then also the intensity from Kessie. I mean, you guys saw there at the end where he was cheering onto the fans. He can still show that he really wants to win the Scudetto. He's still a Milan player as of right now, and this means a lot to him, especially against Atalanta, which he used to be an Atalanta player. So there's a lot going on there today. Some of the substitutions, definitely, Pioli, we're going to go ahead and support, at least in my opinion, Giroud coming off, for Rebic, Tonali coming off, some resting these players for what could be a very important game against Sassuolo here. Again, we can't rely here on Cagliari or Inter here, so we just have to go ahead and rely on our own players today. Fantastic stuff. And as we go ahead and start getting the player ratings up here, want to go ahead and give a quick overview of the Serie A standing of what we look like right now. Okay, as of right now, Milan having played 37 matches, we sit at the top of Serie A with 83 points. Inter have to go up against Cagliari here in a few moments here, but they sit in second place with 78 points. If they do go ahead and get the 3 points there, all we need is that draw against Sassuolo next week to go ahead and be crowned champions. But again, can't go ahead and rely on Cagliari to give it to Inter here. Inter dropping points. Just have to go ahead and focus onto the next match. The celebrations today, definitely worthwhile. That Leao goal was spectacular to go ahead and show his strength, and then finding the space between the goalie's legs. I mean, that's kind of cheeky. Love to see that. And then here, I'll go ahead and put up some of these player ratings in just a moment, but let's go ahead and talk about that Theo Hernandez goal, guys. Oh, and then we'll go ahead and put the ratings.
Sorry, Riccardo. Go ahead. Let's talk about this brilliant goal first. I'm getting too antsy.
I mean, all season, guys, we've been watching Theo Hernandez showing the capability of him driving with the ball. Even in today's match, prior to scoring that goal, he was able to go ahead and drive with the ball a few times, win the fouls. First half, there was maybe a chance or two where he could have squared it off to Giroud or Salamakers. But, you know, you see that selfishness that he has a little bit, and in the end, it really paid off. Guys, that goal, in my opinion, I know I'm comparing apples to oranges here. It's a little bit better of that one Son goal that he was able to score years back against West Ham. I kind of got the same feeling, but this time it's from a left back, and it's just so phenomenal. I mean, some of these Atalanta players looked gassed. They couldn't even try to keep up with him. It's a cheat code. I don't know what to say. And the goals are coming from everywhere. I know that we have shown that we are a little bit Leao dependent in some of the few matches here. It looked like a little bit today when the goal only came from Leao. But last week we saw goals coming from Tonali, we saw goals coming from Bennacer, and now our left back is able to go ahead and provide us with a world-class goal. I mean, how spectacular. Any thoughts on the goal, guys?
I think that goal is such a punctuation point right at the end if Milan are able to secure this title. everyone's going to look to like a specific game or a specific moment of the season. But I think the fact that you have a 1-0 lead at home, how important this game is. And then you get just that's one of the best goals I've seen personally. And I'm not trying to be biased as a Milan fan. End to end from a left back, just bobbing and weaving through the defense. And I'm yeah, hey, listen, the please win. I don't, people take it like it's like, I can't believe you tweeted that. This and that. It's just a tweet, guys. I don't know if the players actually read it. They probably don't. Maybe the admin's thinking, why is this guy tagging me every week in this tweet? But nevertheless, I'm appreciative that people seem to enjoy it. But getting back to the Theo goal, one of the finer goals you will see. It's definitely the Serie A goal this season for me. And Milan have had some great goals this year, but that goal it fully encapsulates what Theo can do. I know people, were a bit frustrated with some of the performances. Defensively, he's been better in weeks, but we haven't really seen him break loose from an offensive standpoint and sort of be that supporting player for Leao, who's really carried such a heavy workload for what seems like the entire second half of the season. And that's when I think Theo really shines brightest, right, from an offensive aspect of his game, when Magnon's able to gobble up the ball real quick, throw it into space, and let him run into space when Atalanta are retreating. And you can see, like, as he's going, you're like, this guy's really going to do this, right? I thought, in my opinion, he was going to lose it at some point because that's just a spectacular goal and it's so difficult to pull off. And then he cuts back onto his left and puts it across the face of the goal past Musso. I'm always now at San Siro, because it's so packed and in recent years it hasn't been that electrifying. I'm always looking at the first row of fans that kind of like swarm the gate and swarm the fence immediately after a goal is scored. And I can't imagine the reaction, the buzz, the loud response from the fans after he scored that goal. It's truly special, and he's such a special player. And I'm glad that, he committed to this team, but he also has that sort of moment in this huge Scudetto push, because Leao's been the guy, but we also sometimes tend to forget how special and prolific Theo is to what we do offensively.
Yeah, I'm sure we were all screaming at one point to pass the ball. How long can you go ahead and dribble?
Pass.
We're just, pass. I know I made the mistake here of not turning off my score alerts here. So as I'm watching it on my phone, he's at the top of the 18, and I get a notification that Milan scored, and I'm like, what? And then he puts it away, and I'm like, unbelievable. I mean, it was 6:30 in the morning here, and I'm screaming, don't want to wake up anybody around me, but this game is, has a lot of tension behind it, and just to go ahead and put a stapling second goal, especially, when we had that patch this season where we were winning games 1-0 or we were keeping them very close, we were unable to go ahead and put that second goal to put opponents away. This one was just phenomenal. Milan and Theo Hernandez, just understanding when that Atalanta team was fully stretched on trying to go ahead and retreat with only leaving one central midfielder there, and then just the defenders back and numbers just caused a lot of havoc for the Atalanta defense. And what a goal. I mean, that is probably going to be, in my opinion, our goal this season. I think that was just absolutely phenomenal. Sabrina, any thoughts on the goal here before we go ahead and jump on to the player ratings?
Yeah, I think it was great that it happened for Theo as well, because it's been quite a while since we've seen him net a goal for Milan. And especially last year, we kind of relied on him as one of our main creators. So to see him get that goal in that fashion, because it seemed for a while that other teams had kind of figured him out. They knew that he was going to try and go down, cut in, have a shot, and they kind of were able to box him out. So kudos to him for not giving up on that and knowing, like, you know what, I can do this. Because to see how many Atalanta players that he got around and to get that shot from that angle was just a magnificent piece of skill. And I think this year, like the calendar year, has been like a Hollywood script. We've had some really low lows. We've had some really high highs. And to just go through that roller coaster and now coming to the end of it, it's like the last few games. It's been like a movie script. Watching these guys play, getting the goals that they're getting when they're getting them, and just to see all of them celebrate, like even Florenzi going and celebrating. And I had mentioned last week, this guy's from Rome. This guy is still owned by Roma. And to see how much he celebrates and enjoys, and it's just so beautiful to watch these guys play when just think, I think it was a month or so ago, we were on these streams depressed because we were tying 0-0 and thinking we threw away our chance. Yeah, we thought we threw away our chance. We just gift wrapped it to Inter. We had it in our hands. And now from that to this, these guys are making us dream. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. And I think they deserve everything that they're getting. They deserve the praise, the admiration, and everything from the fans, because this is truly spectacular what they're pulling off here. And it's so enjoyable to watch them. And I do, like, even when you have that doubt, when they're not playing well, it's like, I still believe they can pull something out of a game. And that's a great feeling to have, because we haven't had that in a long time.
You know what I've enjoyed reading too? I don't know if you guys have been kind of seeing these amongst different fans of different like clubs outside of Italy, of course. There's been a lot of investment from like Premier League fans or La Liga fans to see like Milan make this sort of ascend and make this sort of title push. And everyone I see, it's almost, I mean, if you're like a staunch Milan hater, like obviously you're not liking this. So this doesn't concern you. This isn't towards you. But football is better when Milan is great, when they're a special team, when they're Milan, when they're a team that, you know, is able to, you know, match that sort of history and culture and winning culture and have great performances on the field and be back to where they belong, right? So I'm seeing Chelsea fans, I'm seeing Arsenal fans, I'm seeing, you know, so many different types of fan bases almost rally around this type of Milan team and how special it's been. And Amazon Prime, like if you're watching this, maybe
please, please.
We had how many for Juventus? 2 or 3.
I know.
Can you imagine the behind the scenes look of this entire season and how it would be? The quotes from like Ibrahimovic or Pioli, right? The locker room type reaction and conversations there. So yeah, Sabrina, Riccardo, I think you guys absolutely are spot on. There's just so much magic and special behind this team that the job's not done. But like if you're someone who's followed Milan through the banter era, through the difficult years, you've like begged and prayed for a time like this. And frankly, I don't know if you guys feel the same way. There looked like a moment where I was like, Milan are never going to be like, when are they ever going to be great again? I don't know when I'm going to be able to see a great Milan and a Milan team that, you know, is universally appreciated and valued and put such on a high pedestal. It's now. It's Milan's time now. And I think Ibrahimovic, you know, in the game last week, you know, when that quote came out that Pioli said, you know, Ibrahimovic said, you know, we've done some great things here. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but people only remember people who have won at this club, like won a trophy. And they imagine the young players being able to be a part of that. You mentioned Kessie, you know, and this could be his last, you know, couple games here. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be with him going to Barcelona. The last man standing of that 2017 overhaul of the squad. And there's one more thing, and I thought about this after the game last week against Verona, and I was talking to my brother. Poetic justice, right? Because Hakan had his chirping and things to post on social media. Inter fans hitting out at Milan. We got Hakan. We got your best player. You let this guy go to a rival for free. Gigi Donnarumma, we've already talked about that. These guys leaving, and then the next year, us potentially winning the Scudetto, it just makes it that much more sweeter if we can do it.
Absolutely.
Serie A is not the same without having Milan contest at the top of the Scudetto. So I'm glad that, you know, after sitting through what was a very painful banter era, even getting a little bit of excitement when we had Gattuso take a 6th, now we're here at the top of the Serie A. Words just can't describe how we're feeling. I think just going to have to go ahead and go down to the last match here until that 90 minutes, that final whistle blows. Then we can go ahead and say, you know, if all goes well, we are Scudetto champions. But right now, after that victory against Verona and after this victory against Atalanta, hopefully the players are using all of this energy and momentum to fuel their mentality. I mean, they've been absolutely fantastic. Players who have had a little bit of an awful form here and there is finding their true form again, like Messias being able to go ahead and provide crucial assists in these past 2 games to go ahead and get us the 3 points. But guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into some of these player ratings. So Sabrina, thank you very much for having that pop up here. I'll go ahead and just make it big real quick, hide us real quick so you guys are able to go ahead and see. Overall, Pioli with that 7.5, our man of the match here at Milan reports. Rafael Leao, 7.5. And then overall, looking at our whole squad here, pretty positive numbers, continuing that good form from last week against Verona. So, guys, let's go ahead and jump straight into it with Stefano Pioli, 7.5. I know we discussed a little bit before about him, his perfect substitutions and his team selection, but this man has been absolutely fantastic with the job that he has done with this Milan side, with the funding that he's had, the limited amount, with the injuries that we've accumulated at the beginning of the season, losing one of our defenders, being able to throw in individuals like Kalulu at a new position, and then just absolutely them defense not conceding goals. It's been absolutely fantastic. Bringing out the best of Leao, especially when there was a little bit of that second guessing from Pioli on Leao. He was expecting so much better from him. You guys remember that beginning of the season last year as well. He was asking so much, and now Leao really showing how dominant of a force he is in Serie A. Thankfully, he's one of us. And then, of course, Theo Hernandez, just the absolute baller of a player he is, being able to go ahead and shine in both offense and defense here. So with that, I'll go ahead here and discuss our overall back line. Theo Hernandez, 7, Calabria, 6.5, Fikayo Tomori, 7, and Kalulu, 7. And right behind them, Mike Maignan, 6.5. Tweeted out earlier, Tomori, Kalulu, Maignan, the Great Wall of Milan. Another clean sheet. Absolutely fantastic. This is an Atalanta side that can go ahead and hurt us and score goals, but what can I say? These guys have thrown themselves in front of every shot, have thrown themselves in tackles to go ahead and make sure that nothing disturbs Maignan. Even Tomori getting hurt a minute there, a little bit of a scare there. I thought he could have hurt his ankle or something, just getting stepped on. Just shows that these guys care so much about the Scudetto. They're willing to go ahead and risk a little bit of themselves. But guys, thoughts on our defense today?
Sabrina, you can first.
Yeah, I thought they were absolutely excellent, with the exception of maybe Calabria. He really struggled in the first half. It looked like nerves. He was just making the wrong pass. He wasn't controlling the ball properly. And it happens, right? And I think Pioli handled that really well when he took him out. But the rest of the defense, I mean, you can't complain. Theo with the goal we discussed at length, but also defensively as well, which was something he was criticized for from when he joined Milan. But seeing him get his body in front of the ball, making smart tackles, and Tomori and Kalulu, it was like these were two men on a mission, and nobody was going to take that clean sheet from them. Nothing could stop them. They were so good, and you can tell they have such great chemistry with Maignan as well, that they communicate so well, and they just control that area so well. And I thought, like, Atalanta was getting closer, especially when Zapata came on. I thought, oh man, Zapata's going to come on. He's going to ruin this clean sheet for us and kind of make it a little more nervy, at either, 2-1 or whatever it might have been. And just watching these two guys do absolutely everything in their power to prevent a goal from going in was like, yes, this is what we've been missing. The grinta from these players to say, like, hell no, you're not scoring, not in our house. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. And I mean, it's been a season-long thing. These guys have been so solid that they have to be considered for MVPs of the season. Like, there's so many to pick out from, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those three, Tomori, Kalulu, and Maignan. And Albafin said in the chat, Galliani was right, that defense wins you titles. And honestly, I have to agree with that, because you can't, no matter how many goals you score, if you're bleeding at the back, you ain't going to get anywhere.
Especially in those games that we weren't able to go ahead and capitalize and even score one, our defense was able to go ahead and maintain it at 0-0 and getting us by with 1 point. Absolutely crucial. I'm going to have to agree with that as well. Defense does win you titles, and these guys are in contention for MVP, all three of them.
And when you look at the actual, the collective effort from the back line, the one thing I want to point out, obviously, is I think Sabrina's bang on with Calabria. Woeful first half from him. Errant passes, a couple passes that nearly were fatal for Milan. And he was executing those errant passes in the build-up to Atalanta trying to capitalize on those. I had flashbacks of the games against Sassuolo and Fiorentina from earlier in the year where Kessie and Theo Hernandez committed bad passes and errors in the back, and they led to goals and ultimately lost both those games. So I think the fact that Milan as a defensive unit have matured in that sense to recover. And there were several moments in this match where, there was guys scrambling to get back into position, and Kalulu just throwing his body in there to at least cut down the counter and force Atalanta to reset were huge. So the fact that he had those interventions that maybe you don't really see on the stat sheet or, that lead to a goal scoring opportunity headed the other way, Kalulu covering that ground, Tomori throwing his body around, and everyone just pitching in and committing to the result and the collective effort was massive. And the one thing I want to say that none of us have mentioned, I don't know if you guys maybe mentioned in the last recording, but finally, we get a little bit of luck with as far as fitness is concerned and injuries. We're not knock on wood, but we have a healthy team for it feels like 5-6 games in a row here. We're not, this guy's a late scratch, or Theo can't go in warm-ups, he did this or he did that. We finally have our full squad back to somewhat normal level here. And I think that's huge, especially in a long season where you need all these guys back. Prime example, you're able to pull out Tonali a little bit early, preserve him for a game that next week probably is still going to have some significance, and bring on a supremely gifted and important midfielder in Benacer and not skip a beat. That's huge. Bringing on a guy like Macias or bringing on a guy who's dealt with his injury issues the entire season. Finally, Milan are healthy, and they got healthy at the exact right time they needed it. But again, tip of the cap to the defense. They've been marvelous the entire season. And also a big, massive shout out to Magnon. I think he deserves a little bit of a bump there because he's been nothing short of sensational in net for Milan the entire season.
We'll go ahead and move on over to our midfield block. We've had quite a handful of players be thrown in there today with Kessie and Sandro Tonali. They're starting at the pivot. And then we saw the introduction of Benacer coming in for Tonali early in the second half. Bakayoko coming in, Krunic coming in. These players just coming in and, like you said, Matt, not skip a beat, being able to go in there, understand the assignment, and fulfill it to be 110%, especially what seems to be Pioli's favorite at the moment, Krunic, player that you can just go ahead and tell, hey, go sit at the 10 and just cause havoc on that back line, or drop back as an extra midfielder when our defense need it, if we're going to go ahead and invite the pressure. And for me, he's been absolutely phenomenal today. And Kessie, an individual who this later half of the season, I have mentioned that likes to go ahead and ghost some performances and not really be standing out. Today, he really put a stamp on this match by being everywhere, being so physical and winning the ball, and also being able to not only just win the ball, but being able to drive with the ball, finding our players out wide, and just showing that passion. Again, seeing him getting excited to our fans just still shows a little bit of that hunger that he is, a little bit of still that Milan boy, and that he wants to go ahead and get the Scudetto here, leave on a good note if he is going to go ahead and depart the club. But overall, I was very, very satisfied with everyone who was able to go ahead and step up in the midfield, because a lot of this game looked kind of stretched, guys, where there was a lot of the attack coming onto our own half and a lot of the attack going over on the Atalanta side, and not a lot in the middle. It was maybe a lot of these 10 to 15-yard passes to try to get the ball to progress some of our pacier players to go ahead and start that fast attack that Milan likes to go ahead and do. So just to have Kessie sit there, and even Tonali being able to go ahead and drop deep when we have Theo Hernandez or Calabria even going up a little bit to fill in those spots. Fantastic. I mean, they understand their roles as part of the club, and saving Tonali for what could be a very important match next week is a very smart move. His mentality for the club is phenomenal, getting us the goals on his birthday and then just being an absolute workhorse today. Nothing shy of perfection. maybe give them all of them a little bit of a bump here on me. But guys, thoughts on you guys? Who was out of your midfielders stood out for you?
I won't say I'm gonna pinpoint. Looks like we maybe lost Riccardo there.
He's just off camera for a sec.
Oh, okay. Well, with the midfield, I think there was a give and take with both. I think I've seen better games from Tonali. I'm not saying he was, lackluster, or subpar, or anything like that stretch, but I think that this game specifically was that sort of cohesive collective effort amongst the two starters in Tonali and Kessie, where they both had their moments where they give and take. I thought Kessie did a good job of being defensive, sitting back and being a player that can win the ball in the air. He had many chances where he won a lot of those 50-50 aerial duels, and he was able to win the ball back to Milan for them to reset, reshape, and maybe slow the game down a little bit. Because Atalanta likes to play with pace. They like to win that ball quickly, recycle it, and push forward and get numbers going down. So I thought the midfield was very solid from a tandem standpoint. But the one key thing I've noticed with this midfield, and really just the entire squad in the second half specifically, is that extra gear they have, these past handful of games. Maybe it's the adrenaline built from a Scudetto run, and the players really sort of understanding what type of moment they're in right now, and having that just a little bit extra burst, that little bit more desire going in to win a 50-50 ball or to chase down a player. You saw Tonali at the end of the first half where Atalanta looked like they wanted to counter and do something, and he just gets back, breaks up play, it goes back to Magnon, and they're able to get into the half 0-0. So I think that was a telling sign of this team and this performance against a team, as I said, who likes to play quickly and sharply and with pace, and Milan being able to stick with them for 90 minutes. We always highlight how quickly Atalanta can kill you with a goal and go forward. So the fact that Milan, in the dog days of the season, match day 37, still being able to keep that intensity up, still being able to, even after a misplaced pass or a chance that didn't, they weren't able to capitalize on, being able to quickly turn that around and just bring that energy level back up and get a result like this is truly special. So a tip of the cap to the midfield, and also again for Kessie, because I think everyone's been focusing on, him wearing the armband. I can't believe he's wearing the armband in some of the previous appearances. Why is he playing? He already made his mind up. We should bench him. No. We have a title to win here. We need all hands on deck. And Kessie's been a very good player for us, at least in my eyes, the past couple games, for the assignment that he has been given. If you're looking for him to pull off back heels and create 7-8 chances a game, he's not going to do that. He's never been that player. If you're going to look for a strong defensive effort, a workman-like effort, and he's going to give you a full shift and he's going to give everything, I think Kessie can still do that, and he has done that.
Yeah, I think a big part of that with Kessie is that for the quite a few home games, he's been booed by the fans when they announced the lineup. And I think today might have been the first time in months that when they announced his name, the fans were actually kind of cheering. They were screaming his name instead of booing him.
Sabrina, winning cures all, right? We know this. How often do we see this, right? When everything's going poorly and Kessie's leaving and Milan aren't scoring goals and they were drawing 3-4 games in a row. They were slipping in the Scudetto chase. Look to Kessie. He's our scapegoat. Let's look to him, right?
Yep.
When you're winning, everyone cheers, right? That's really, unfortunately, that's the nature of the sport. And I think, recency bias will set in here with Kessie, right? Because he is leaving, he's walking for free, which is not something we want to see. But looking over his tenure here, this guy put in 35 to 37 games a season, always amongst the highest players as far as minutes go, always available, really good as from a defensive standpoint. You can't forget those parts either. I know it sucks that he's leaving for free. I get that. But you can't just completely put an eraser over everything he has done for this team since he arrived.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, because I didn't like the way that he kind of lied, just like Donnarumma, where he said he was going to renew and then he didn't, and it kind of felt like a little bit of a betrayal. But at the end of the day, all I ask for is to be professional, because I'll support any player who's currently at Milan. And then after that, it just depends on how you conduct yourself. So Kessie, it seems like for a while there, he kind of lost himself. He was kind of wrapped up in everything going on with the media, getting booed constantly by his own fans. And it seems like in the last few games, he's kind of put that aside and just played his game. And the fans are responding to that. It's like, you're going to leave, but help us do what we need to do.
Right.
And it was nice to see him, going on and urging the fans to get louder and stuff like that. Because like you said, Matt, we need him. We've needed him, and we still do need him, because next week could be pivotal. So at the end of the day, it's glad to see Kessie, who was a player I always liked. It's nice to see that he's not, crumbling, that he's like, I'm going to do something here, and I'm going to help this team that I've played for the past 5 years achieve something before I move on. And that's all we can ask of the players.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I will go ahead and move over to the other midfield players, and Alexis Salamakers, Rafael Leao, our MVP, 7.5. Junior Messias coming in, getting the rating of 6.5. Guys, I'll be the first to say I have been super harsh on Junior Messias in the later half of this season, when his form has been pretty off. I did come on Twitter to say a little bit of apologies. I'm super thankful that the past few games he has found a little bit of his form and is able to go ahead and provide us with the assist. Today, after I saw him get the assist, I saw a little bit of brilliance. He was trying to go ahead and go for goal and try to get that goal himself. So why not? Straight at the goalie, no worries. But Junior Messias, hats off to him today with the 6.5, definitely showing up and doing his job when needed to. I guess almost every player today, when asked to go ahead and step up, showed up and played their role. So phenomenal, Matt. You said that almost on his first touch, if not his first touch, Messias was able to go ahead and get the assist. Super phenomenal for me. And then who else? Rebic coming on for Giroud, after Giroud showing a little bit of that frustration there. Didn't really know if he was going to go ahead and finish that full 90 minutes. So Pioli just making him come off and throwing in Rebic in there. And Rebic, the type of player that he is, with that speed and that low gravity that he has, being able to hold off defenders and also create that space for Leao to go ahead and cut in with his right foot. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, given that space to Leao to go ahead and run in behind, plenty of space with 1v1 on a defender on his back, just showing his strength, pushing off, and then being able to find the net through the goalkeeper's legs. Absolute class. So overall, our attacking output today, being able to not only score 1 but 2 goals, which I know that sometimes this season we have struggled to go ahead and put that second goal away. Absolutely phenomenal. The guys, we still continue to go ahead and play that fast-paced attack that we have been doing, kind of that shot clock mentality. But again, even having players like Florenzi and Bakayoko, who haven't seen in a moment, come in and just still put a foot into the game, for me, just shows again that this mentality has been turning around. Whatever Pioli is saying at halftime, I really do wish that we had that Amazon Prime this season, because some of these halftime messages have been phenomenal. It feels like Milan in the first half is a different team than Milan in the second half. And with the support from all the Milan fans around the world, the community, and at the San Siro, it looked like this game was so important for everybody. Everyone was tuned in, regardless of where you were. It had a lot of caliber leading up to it, and then just delivering. You can't start your Sunday a better way, or finish your Sunday, I guess, where you are, a better way. So, guys, you have any closing thoughts here on our attacking players or the player ratings?
Leao's been brilliant. There's not much more can be said about him. I think I tweeted out before the game, his last 4 games, he's had, I believe, 2 goals, 3 assists. That was coming into this game. He gets another goal. I mean, that's talking about a player that, look, is playing for a contract, right? He wants a big raise on what he currently has. And a lot of times what happens is a player who's looking for more money. You know, we talked about Kessie, we talked about Hakan last year, right? Look at the stark contrast. Hakan was kind of holding out for a contract. He wanted more money. He wasn't willing to sign. And he was a player that, okay, you want more money, you want a new contract, but you're not able to show that on the field that you're worthy of that. And now you have a player like Leao, where I want more money. I'm going to show you why I'm deserving of that money, and I'm deserving of that fresh new deal. and he's just taking this game to another level. And Milan are absolutely riding him to a potential Scudetto. That's a player. That's a big game player. And the maturity we've seen this year from him, he's got bunches of talent, bunches of ability, potential. We all know how good he is and how special he is coming into the season. Up in the head, he's matured so much in that sense. He's less, you could see he's less frustrated. There's moments in previous years where, if he maybe wasn't getting the ball, or he was getting cut out, or they were losing possession, he'd be a little bit disinterested. He'd be a little bit detached from the game. And when you lose that sort of aspect of the game, then you're a non-factor. If your head's not in it, you're not going to chase down a player. You're not going to run for a loose ball. You're not going to make that extra run to maybe get the ball into space. This year, he's doing everything like that. And that goal, fending off the defender, as you mentioned, Riccardo, he's a strong player too. I know we talk about all that sort of spark and dazzling play with his feet. He's a strong player. He's a tall player, and he also filled out in that sense. So a big tip of the cap to him. He continues to soar. A player that, look, if he's asking for $5.5 million, can you argue with it? Because he's a special player. He's a star. He's our best attacker, and we're going to need him at this stage going forward. And also Junior Messias. I mean, the guy's been in and out. People laughed at this transfer when we did get him. I know maybe he isn't the type of player that you're going to rush to buy his shirt, or you're going to back completely over 90 minutes and have that full confidence that he's going to be the man of the match. But this is a player being ready. And I've been harping on, I've been saying it so many times on here, guys. The unsung heroes, the players that are ready to roll when their name is called and their number is called. 2 matches off the bench, 2 assists. That's huge. That's a player that is ready for the occasion. He's ready mentally. And he had his Champions League moments. You all know his story.
Inter just scored.
Inter scored.
1-0, 10 minutes in. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. But it's just great to see these types of players that maybe don't get all the plaudits and the praise in the media, or get all this sort of a buzz and attention around their name, but having their moment too, in what has been a special season.
Yeah, and you can look at Macias, and although he hasn't been a consistently excellent performer, he's had some huge impact on this squad. That game in the Champions League that he won for us, like, I'm sure he'll never forget that for the rest of his life. But also for us Milan fans, looking back to be like, the first season we're back in the Champions League after such a big absence, and to have a moment like that, that's what we were missing. And for him to be kind of crapped on by mostly our own fans for not being what we wanted to see on the right side, he's still putting in the work. He's still trying. He hasn't been perfect. He hasn't been what we wanted. But for someone to come and fill that gap, he's done a decent job. And like you said, 2 assists coming off the bench in 2 separate games. And he's been coming on late in the games. This guy isn't coming on at halftime and getting into the game and making that impact. This guy's coming on and quickly making an impact. And even if it's not him scoring, at least he's contributing, which is something that we haven't unfortunately seen from Salamakers. And again, I feel so bad for the guy. Oh, no goal. Handball. Ooh. Excellent. We're back to 0-0. Salamakers, I mean, even at the beginning of today's game, he was trying so hard, but it's just not clicking. And that doesn't mean that he's a worthless player. Maybe he'll go to a different environment and thrive, but it just doesn't seem to be working out at Milan here. And I'm just going to give more praise to Pioli, because you can prepare for a game as best as you can, as much as you want, but you go into that game, you don't know what the other team is going to do. And the job of the coach is to say, you know what, this player is struggling, or this person isn't thriving, and make those changes. And he made those changes, and it had a direct impact on the final result. So overall, Rebic was a little bit disappointing when he came on, but you saw him getting into those positions. He just didn't have that final ball. But, Giroud, again, he seemed really frustrated. Maybe that's contributing to the fact that he's not being as productive as we had seen him at some points throughout the season. But Rebic coming on with that energy and trying to take on players, and it just, everything from Pioli that he did had a direct impact on on winning this game. And 2-0, we've been complaining about our attack for so long with not being able to produce anything. And now we're producing. And the good thing is it's not just coming from one player. I know a lot of people will count that as a weakness, that we don't have that one target man. But when you do have that one target man, it's so much easier to box him out of the game. So to see that our attack is coming from the left side, the right side now, coming through the middle, that's something that we can build on for next season, because you don't want all your goals coming from one source. Because look at Napoli, Osimhen was their target man, and when he was out, it really hurt them. Some might even say that him being out cost them the Scudetto in the end. If he was healthy the whole year, who knows what would have happened. So, kudos to Pioli for getting these guys to all play together and for goals to be coming from multiple different outlets. That's something that I feel is a strength for us.
What's also interesting too about this, we're all focusing on the attack here and the output from the attack. It's interesting because last year, obviously, everyone hinged on Milan making that position or that climb to second place and making a Scudetto run, at least for half the season. They get a lot of penalties. They have the referees on retainer. We heard all these sorts of jokes, right? Kessie had like 11 penalty conversions and he had 13 goals. It's like ridiculous output for a midfielder that he's just not that guy, right? So then this year, despite all our shortcomings, despite our lack of really consistent offensive players, can you remember the last time Milan has actually gotten a penalty?
I honestly couldn't until somebody said it on Twitter, and it was the middle of January.
Yeah. I think I want to say we had 6 or 7 penalties total this year. We have less than Inter. I think we have less than Napoli. And I think it's like Sassuolo, because they create a ton of chances, I think, are ahead. So people can't even look to that and say, but Milan get a lot of penalties. They get a lot of gifts.
Yep.
We're not getting those gifts this year. So we're doing something right? The fact that we're not getting the penalties, but we're still finding ways to score goals from really precarious situations. And we have, 83 points on the season. So there's a lot of things that Milan were able to throw away and kind of negate from all people who have doubted Milan throughout the entire season.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that were saying the only reason we finished in second last year was because of those penalties.
Yep.
And now I'm not seeing the same comments about a certain other team from Milan.
They got his Ibrahimovic.
Yeah. Yep. And then for a while it was like, all they have is Leao. And Leao went through that rough patch where he wasn't scoring, and we're still top of the table. So the excuses for the doubters are running out, and Pioli and his men just keep coming and saying, yeah, we're not going away. We're here and we're going to fight till the end. And they're doing it. And it seems like every week there's a different hero that comes through for us. And nobody can point to us this season and say that we were lucky in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I think we were one of the most unluckiest teams. Yeah. And not even just with refereeing decision, like you had mentioned before, Matt, with the injuries. We've been lucky in the last few games that we haven't had any, but every year it seems like we go through this. Yeah, like we thought we were done for. We thought, what are we going to do? He got injured after the January window, and it's like there's nothing we can do now.
2 months.
Yeah.
In the Champions League, when we were playing Champions League games.
Yep. It's just like this. There's just something special about this year with this team. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but it would just be such a shame if they weren't rewarded for it.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, through everything that we have been through, the ups and downs, all the drama on and off the field, players wanting to stay, the not staying, injuries, refereeing decisions, games, how they've ended, like the one in Spezia, some losses that shouldn't have been, ties here and there. It has been a journey, I mean, full of anxiety, stress, and excitement. I mean, now that we are finally here at almost the end of the season with one more match, one more final to say, I mean, guys, I am super not only happy about everything that us as Milan Reports have done and able to go ahead and discuss every post-match review here in both the Serie A race and the Coppa Italia. But guys, it's been a fantastic journey just being behind these players and Pioli. So hopefully we do get that Amazon Prime. That would be very exciting. Get to go ahead and see the story of Milan 2021, 2022, or for future. But at this time, I'll just go ahead and put up the player ratings one more time as we wrap it up here. So here they go up there. Again, Milan beating Atalanta at the San Siro 2-0. Goals from Rafael Leao and Theo Hernandez. Clean sheet from our magic Mike Magnan in the back, and the great wall of Milan from Tomori and Kalulu, Theo and Calabria. Absolutely fantastic performance from all the Milan players. I'll go ahead and remove this here. Any final thoughts, guys? Matt, Sabrina? I do just want to go ahead and say I brought this up here earlier this week in conversation with other Milanisti here, that there was all this criticism. I know that we've been criticized all season based on our performances, the type of players that we have, our depth, and so and so. And one that really stood out to me was that if Milan do end up winning this Scudetto, that this could be looked at as one of the worst Serie A sides to win the Scudetto this, I guess, century, the 21st century, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous, guys, because if we end up winning this Scudetto here and it's the start of an amazing project where we keep a lot of our core players like the line, Tonali, Bennacer, Leao for future years to come, and we continue to build on that and win silverware, it is the absolute totally opposite thing. This is the start of an amazing project. It's not the worst Serie A side to win the Scudetto. It's going to be an amazing. I mean, fans from outside of Serie A are rooting for AC Milan to be back up the glory days that we were once with fantastic players like Pirlo, Kaká, Shevchenko, Van Basten. But now we have players that could leave a legacy 5 to 10 years from now. Like one day we could be throwing names like Leao up there, Tonali up there, Bennacer, Tomori, just to name a few. Wow. I mean, speechless right now. I'm still trying to go ahead and contain my excitement. I can't get this Theo Hernandez goal out of my head. I'm going to probably try to recreate it 50 times on FIFA, see if it's doable or if he's just a real life cheat code. But Matt, Sabrina, as always, it's amazing to have you guys join on the Milan Reports post-match review. It's been so far an amazing journey covering all these post-matches. We got one more coming. Hopefully we can go ahead and throw a party as well. So it's not just a regular post-match review. It'll be a party post-match review. I don't know. Just gotta
I'm in New Jersey, so I'll bring
maybe
some Jersey Shore vibes to the screen here.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, guys, if you have any closing remarks, I do want to thank everyone in the chat. This has been the most active and exciting that everyone has been. It's been amazing reading all of everyone's comments, and thank you everyone who has joined us. Thank you to all the new followers and subscribers to our Twitch channel. You guys have been amazing. Matt, Sabrina, any final words?
Yeah, I just want to echo what you just said, Riccardo. When I first started getting involved with Milan Reports Vito and the original crew, obviously we're all Milan fans at the end of the day. Right? We're not a podcaster or influencer, content creator. Like we're all here because we're Milan fans. And so I just want to tip the cap to you guys, Sabrina, Riccardo, Vito, Ahmad, everyone behind the scenes who puts together this entire show from a production standpoint and kind of had the desire to get everyone involved and to create such a great community of Milan fans. At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing that I truly love about being a Milan fan is sharing in moments like this with the community that is so passionate, who is stuck by this team through better or for worse. And look, this team has proven that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I know there was grim moments in the past decade that really had a lot of people questioning whether or not they want to invest 90 minutes every weekend. They wanted to make those away travels to games and to see, a disappointing performance against Benevento and a goalkeeper score a winner. Like there have been moments that have really tested the resolve and character of Milan fans over the past decade. So for us, as a crew here to share in these moments with you guys has been truly special. And of course, Riccardo and Sabrina, I want to thank you guys as well for just all the time you guys commit. I know everyone has things going on in their life, but the fact that you guys are taking that time to commit what has been about an hour so far after the final whistle on a nice day, at least where I'm at in New Jersey. I truly do appreciate it, and I just want to again thank everyone in the comments who joins on a consistent basis.
Yeah, same. It's so nice to get the energy from us three going with everyone in the chat and just having this community, this thing where we're all so far away. Yeah. And this is something you'd normally get from sitting in a bar with your friends and being able to talk about your team or commiserate over your team. But the fact that we can do it over Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere you can find Milan Reports has just been excellent. And I just feel like we've been like the little engine that could all season with this Milan team. Mm-hmm. And you know what, guys, let everyone talk about this being the worst team to potentially win the Scudetto. I've heard that a bunch of times, and it's like, you know what? That's fine. You can look at our team and you can see some glaring holes in it.
We've embraced it too.
Yeah, you can't look at our team with Mignon, Kalulu, Tomori, Hernandez, Benacer, Tonali, Leao, Giroud, Ibra, et cetera, and say that this team is the worst team. We saw 9 years of Juventus capitalizing on a really weak Serie A. So go ahead, talk all your smack. At the end of the day, if it's, knock on wood, Milan that lifts that trophy, I don't care. Anyone can say whatever they want. At the end, the trophy is all that matters. So let's back these guys for this game. Still 0-0 with it. Nope, they scored. Inter scored, so it looks like next week is going to be crucial. So one more final, Forza Milan.
I'm not going to go ahead and tell you guys to go watch the Inter game, but I will go ahead and say just keep a lookout at the score here. Make sure to keep tabs here on how Cagliari and Inter are doing. It is going to go ahead and reflect on what next week will be, if it's going to go ahead and be in 90 minutes of full hardcore, or if we were joking earlier, maybe Maldini will get 90 minutes. So who knows? But again, it's in our hands. Regardless, our players should go ahead and finish the season on a positive note. And when we come back here at the next Milan Reviews post-match, again, hopefully we can have a kind of party. We'll be blasting music, showing all some great Milan moments from the season, moments that maybe were a little bit further back that we haven't remembered, and just how we've gotten here. And so I want to go ahead and thank everyone as always, and just hope that everyone has a great rest of your day, okay?
Okay.
All right.
See you guys.